So what are we doing today, Nick, exactly? I don't even know what's happening.
Oh, well, you're in luck. This is a great episode for you. We're going to be discussing record collections. So everyone's going to get we'll go around, and essentially everyone will talk a little bit about their own record collection. We don't really have any requirements or ratings. Me and Marco thought that it would be pretty cool if maybe as a suggestion you could talk about maybe your rarest or your favorite item in your collection. And Marco's suggestion, and shout out to Marco. I think wish he was here, but he also thought that it'd be great to maybe talk about sort of the one that got away. Maybe that item in your collection that you always wish you had, or that you came this close to acquiring and
Right.
slipped through your grasp. So I think
Nick,
we'll get
Nick,
started.
do you want to allow me to record, and I'll record as backup?
Of course. Here, let me get that for you.
What I here is I grabbed a bunch of stuff. Things are valuable for different reasons, and they're valuable to me for different reasons. And what I did is I just grabbed a bunch of different examples of why something would become valuable, and I was just going to go through them real quick. And this is valuable because it's old. This is valuable because
Yeah, I think especially for this type of episode, yeah, like what I don't want to tell you what method
Right.
that you can judge your collection by. That's up to you. So
Okay.
just suggestions. So 703, we'll get started right into it. Welcome to the Contrarians. We're back again with another panel. This time we're going to be discussing record collections of the Contrarians. So we've got an esteemed panel here, lots of familiar faces, and of course Martin's here as well. So we'll I'm sure have a lively episode with some great stories and some great collections being shown off here. Just some of that boring housekeeping stuff. If you want to be part of the Contrarians and join the conversation, there is a Patreon that you can join. Any tier will get you access to the panel discussions. There is also a TeePublic, which you can get some Contrarians merch, and Jamie there is rocking the Contrarian shirt, showing us some love, so thanks, Jamie. There's also a Ko-fi if you want to I think the phrase is buy Martin a coffee, or buy the Contrarians a coffee. Go for it, always appreciate it. And of course, most importantly, if you're liking the content, if you like the discussion and want to hear more of them, like and subscribe. It always goes a long way. So without any further ado, we're going to get into it. Martin, would you like to go last or first?
Oh, sure, I'll go first. What the heck?
All right, let's do it.
Okay, so I have an odd situation with my record collection. I've oddly just talked about this somewhere. I can't remember why, but essentially, I have always had a lot of records, and I was a pretty studious, proper collector, and I wanted at least one of every proper studio album and live album, I suppose, of a band. But over the years, I also started buying a ton of cheap stuff. Like when I remember one store in Toronto here had a whole dollar basement at one point, and I just went crazy, and I was picking up all my Styx and Journey and REO Speedwagon and all this stuff that I've always kind of held off on, but just to complete the whole thing. Never really cared all that much about condition in terms of getting all that used stuff cheap. So I built up a collection that eventually got to about 11,000 full-length records. But now it's down to about 5,000. And it's not that I got rid of all the crap. It's more like I got rid of too much of the good stuff. Because what happens with me is I constantly have buddies coming by and begging me to buy things off me, right? So, and then I did a little bit of just paring down, just trying to be reasonable about it, because the CDs kept growing and growing and growing, because I got a lot of CDs free because I was a journalist from 94 through to 2008, in the golden era when if you're reviewing something, they send out CDs. Sometimes they'll send out the whole bloody reissue program, right? So I ended up with lots of crappy CDs as well, but all of that kind of arrived free, and I've got about 18,000 CDs still. And at one point, myself and Tim Henderson from the magazine, we thought this is all taking up so much room. We went to this place out in Scarborough, and we bought these little plastic sleeves, and for probably 7,000 to 9,000 of those 8,000, the jewel cases are gone. Threw them out, keep the pieces, put them in plastic sleeves, and that's why you can get a lot on racks. So I've got a 7 foot by 7 foot tall by 31 foot long wall full of CDs, and that holds 8,000. But putting that aside, back to the records. So I still have tons and tons of crap, and I'm by far not even remotely a completist anymore. The whole concept of Spotify has really dented my head in terms of the nature of ownership and the philosophy around ownership, and do I have to own this stuff anymore? So that's happened. So what I'm left with is a lot of crap, and I even started a little TikTok thing where I'm going to start this thing called, I haven't kind of kept it up, but the world's worst record collection, because that's kind of what my record collection is. It's 8 pieces of crap for something, and then a few things I want to keep, and then 8 more pieces of crap, doubles and triples of things, 12-inch singles that I don't care about at all. But the stuff that I've kept, and it's all split between metal and non-metal. It's always been like that since I was a kid. And most of the stuff that I've kept that are near and dear to me is because I've got it signed, right? So I turned into a big autograph guy over the years. So I've got 3,000 signed items in my office. And then I'd say maybe half of those are LPs and half of them are CDs, right? But you know, I even like stuff by key bands of mine, I've sold off, key copies of a lot of that stuff, and I'm left with just 3 or 4 of certain things. I realized the other day we were talking about Black Sabbath on a show with John Gaffney from Lair the Alchemist, and I go, oh look, I don't have a CD copy or an LP copy of Black Sabbath Born Again, gone, right? So yeah, over the years, I've sold off a lot of things, including the autograph stuff. Never been on eBay before, never sold on eBay, never bought it. Well, I bought a couple things on eBay a long time ago. But so I have this collection that is 5,000 records, and I would say 1,500 of it is really, near and dear to me and valuable because it is signed and all that kind of stuff. Last thing I want to point out is, who knew that putting plastic sleeves on them back in the 70s and 80s would keep those covers absolutely pristine? Because it did. Unbelievable. When I take off shows to go on Pete's show and show those records, I'm going, this is my bloody copy from 1978, and look at it, right? And it's just because you put a dang plastic sleeve on it, right? So who knew that was going to work? But it did. So that was amazing. What else? Okay, just the one that got away. When you asked that question, I thought of this, and this isn't even that long time ago. There was a fully signed copy of the first Ramones album in a store here in Toronto for $100, and I was in my trying to be Mr. Cynical. Oh, is this real or not? Who knows, right? But it was all signed in like ballpoint pen, so that made it more realistic seeming, right? And I walked out of that store and I didn't buy it, and I went back a few days later and it was gone, right? And now I would have totally bought it, right? Not everybody was dead, mind you, but at the time, but still, I thought my gut was telling me it was real. But anyways, so that's my collecting story. I literally, other than hanging on to 1 or 2 or 3 of my signed Judas Priest or Rush or whatever, or Sabbath, a lot of the other ones have gone, of all these key bands. But outside of hanging on to just a few representative copies of things, because of Spotify, I really am not buying anything anymore. And if anything, it's just still slowly going down. So there you go.
All right. Interesting.
Wow.
Yeah. I will say though, I do still remember the first time me and Marco came to your office, and literally every inch of space is covered in something that was still mind blowing for me at that time.
Well,
Probably
it's a small space, but 5,000 records doesn't really take up a lot of space.
No, but you're also there's a lot of CDs. Yeah. There's a lot of really cool memorabilia. So
I've got about 3,045s as well, but 11,000 records takes up a lot of space.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, thanks for sharing, Martin. I'm sure everyone back at home is really intrigued by that. Maybe not what they expected, but let's throw it over to Todd, and we're all eager to hear a bit about your record collection, Todd.
Okay, well, my background in record collecting is that I used to work at a record store, Turtles Records and Tapes in Atlanta, Georgia. May they rest in peace. And so that was when I was in just out of high school, so I had a lot of records. I eventually amassed about 1,600 records. And then when CDs came out, I started buying CDs, but I didn't sell my records. And I actually moved to the West Coast and back twice with my records. So don't do that, kids. But one of the things that happens to me with my collections is that I am constantly reassessing whether or not my collection should get as large as it does. And so I go through some. I've done it with CDs a couple of times, but I don't know if anybody else has this happen to them. But I occasionally will go through my vinyl records and check out, see what things are worth, and if I feel like I'm amassing too many or I'm running out of space, I'll let some of them go. And occasionally some of those get bought back. There's a line in Steven Wilson's song that came out recently, Personal Shopper, that goes, "Sell it all and buy it back." And I was like, how does he get out of my head? Steven Wilson. But so I've amassed quite a few things, and I try to find ways to collect things that are fun, that are things that don't cost a lot. Like I like to collect different label variants of different records, but only like if they're like my favorite record. Like for example, like the second Chicago album. It's very common for the first album to be like this, but I have a copy of the second album that is a Columbia 2i label, which is a little bit out of the ordinary because usually they look at the Aerosmith records, they say Columbia around the outside. And that got me started with collecting older records, like this jazz record here, this Ellington record, which is called a Columbia 6i, which basically means that it's got the little eye pattern on it 6 times. And so sometimes when I'm in record stores and I'm looking for something to buy because I get the itch to buy something, I'll buy a different variant of something just because it won't cost that much to do it. Another thing I like to do is to buy club versions of things sometimes, because sometimes they're really interesting. Like this Doors record was always released as a quad record, but the Columbia House club version is not a quad record. It's just a stereo record. So that's kind of neat. Up there where it used to say quad, they just sort of grayed it out. So I thought that was kind of cool. So that didn't set me back a lot. My favorite band is IQ. And so I have this IQ record from the 80s that I found in a local store that has the press kit in it and the 8x10 glossy of them looking like, hey, we can look like a hair band too if we want to. And another thing that I like to do is in the 80s when they cheaped out and took some of the gatefold records, like this Moody's record, I picked up the wrong one, that has a gatefold sleeve, and then they released them without a gatefold sleeve.
Yeah.
So if something like this is $5, I'll pick it up just for fun. I got a bunch of stuff signed by, I'm really big into Neil Morse and the Neil Morse band and Transatlantic and stuff like that. So I've got some Neil Morse records that one's personalized, and I've got a couple of them that are signed by the whole band, including the mix engineer. And so, they're worth some of those are worth a couple $100 because of what they are, but not necessarily the signatures. I have another one for Spock's Beard Snow that's got everybody's signature on it.
That's hardcore, getting the mix engineer to sign your record.
He was there and I handed it to him and he said, "Do you want me to sign this?" And I was like, "Why wouldn't I want you to sign it?"
Can I get your wife to sign it too?
I really like these things that have been coming out lately. There are these little boxes that have the little replica, they're CDs, but they have the record sleeves. And I've got a ton of those. I've got the Dio, I've got Hackett, I've got Jethro Tull, Kansas, Rat, Saga. I pulled too many of these out. Styx. So you get the picture on that. And I really like these sets. Like I have a bunch of these, but I just picked out a couple because I've got.
I want that.
I've got the Utopia one too.
Yeah, do you have the Utopia one? I don't have the Utopia
I did.
one.
Yeah, it goes
the
for
Rundgren
big
one is
money
really
now.
nice. And I mean, they're like every album that was a gatefold is actually a gatefold.
Oh,
And the gatefolds have something on the spine. And so those are really nice. The Rundgren one is my favorite. And let me see, what else do I have? I have the UFO one. And that's really nice. It's 74 through 86. And it's all of the UFO albums with miniature covers. I've got Van Halen, 78 through 84, all the Dave albums. And I wish they would do one of these for the later albums too, but they have not.
agree.
But
I got a ZZ Top like that, and it's the only
I want
way you
the
can
ZZ
get
Top. It's on my
original
wish list.
mix of the early albums is buying that box set on CD.
yeah, I want that one. And as a matter of fact, like this one for Toto, it's only, I don't know what it is. It's like $18. It's right now, it's pretty much the only way you can get Hydra and Turn Back because they're out of print. So yeah, I really like those kinds of things. I collect 45s. I didn't pull the 45s out, but I don't have a very big collection of 45s, maybe 75 to 100, but I've got some early Pink Floyd and stuff like that. And I collect cassettes too. And if if somebody else were here that collects, if Tim Derling was here that collects cassettes, I would have brought some cassettes out. But cassettes,
I have cassettes.
I have a $3 limit on cassettes so that I don't go crazy because I don't want to spend a lot of money on buying cassettes. So if they're $3 or less, I'll pick them up. But I'm trying to get out of the habit of, moving things along if I feel like I'm getting too many or if I'm feeling guilty about spending too much money, because I don't really have a one that got away, but I've had a couple of those later Rush albums that got reissued, 6 or 7 years ago. I had Roll the Bones and a couple of, and Presto and a couple of others, and let them go because I thought, I can buy those again if I change my mind. And now they're $400 and up. So, so I have some regrets, but I can't seem to, I'm kind of like Martin in that I have Apple Music and I have a lot of, there are a lot of good reasons to not buy anything anymore. But so what I'm trying to do is kind of set a limit and not spend too much money. But I go back and forth in my head whether I should be buying things at all. And I always come to the conclusion that I should for things that I really care about, but I could go either way.
All right. Awesome.
Todd, could you please hold up the jazz record again?
Which one?
The jazz record, the 6i.
Oh, yeah. Hang on, it ended up on the bottom of the stack. So it's this one, Ellington and Basie, The Count Meets the Duke. And
show the label.
It looks like this.
That is so beautiful.
I think so too. And one of the reasons,
one of the aspects of collecting.
One of the reasons I got so into that, somebody bought me this book, and it's called 360 Sound: The Columbia Record Story. And I saw the cover of this book, and that got me interested in trying to collect those. It's a very dangerous book. Stay away from it.
Well, awesome. Thanks, Todd.
Sure.
That's great. We got an infinite loop.
That might be aliens. I'm not sure.
Alien from.
Sorry, iPhone. I'm going to mute you because I think it's coming through your speakers there. But let's go over to Pontus. There, we got that little connection. So let's keep it moving. And Pontus, why don't you tell us about your record collection?
Yeah, my first record I was given as mine. That was a Schindler's record, was a James Last album called Polka Party. That was in 75. I'm born in 72. So I started very, very early. Records, as I told before, I am visually impaired and I'm a bit paraplegic. So records became my toys. I loved them. I couldn't run around and do football and stuff like that. So music became my thing, and collecting records became my thing. And I became a very huge Elvis fan. Had a large collection. At that point, you didn't know a collection or a shall we say a true album, original album from a compilation. You didn't know that. So you bought everything. So you had Hound Dog on 4 or 5 albums, right? What changed that was that my assistant at school, she introduced me to Beatles, and she recorded all the major Beatles albums on tape for me for my 10th birthday. And that has been the way I collect things after that. I have a very strong sort of difference between major albums or compilations. And if I like something, I go through the collection. And in the late 80s, I switched totally to CDs, and I've been a CD collector since. And the thing is that when you start, I was 16 when I started collecting CDs, and when you're at that age, you want the massive thing. You want a lot of stuff. What you find out is that your collection is sort of moving in and out. You sort of, oh, I keep this record. I let this one go. Oh, that was good again. Oh, I'll buy it back. Maybe, fuck it, give it away anyway. So, and this is remastered now. So you sell that version and buy the other version. So it's evolving all the time. And basically, I have one major regret and one tip that I want to give people is to, if you want to rebuy things, buy the new things first, then sell the old stuff, if you don't want to keep it. Because if you sell the old stuff first, you're not going to buy the new stuff, right? So you end up with nothing. So buy first and then sell, right? And
I'm taking notes, Pontus.
Good. No, but it's actually one of those things I just regret now, because now everything is extremely, it's extremely expensive. And you have to, grab what you can get. I would love to have that Todd album you showed, the Todd collection, but I never grabbed it, and I regret it. I also regret, one thing I regret is when the Dio albums were released on double discs, deluxe edition, and Thin Lizzy was released on deluxe editions. I didn't get them. I thought I'd do it next month, next week, but I didn't. And now they are gone. They're not, they're not going to repress that stuff. I was lucky. This is my latest buy. This is upside down. This is the Sailor's Tale King Crimson box set, 1971 to 1972. This has been out of print for over a year now. It's been repressed. I got an early Burning Shed told their customers this is coming. So the same day I ordered it, I used a credit card to buy it. I collect CDs. The most expensive CDs I ever bought was probably the Early Years box set by Pink Floyd. That was $400, 4,000 Swedish crowns. I still like it, but I think it's still, it was still too expensive. But yeah. And I've been more physical now, physical media now than I was a couple of years ago, because I was all streaming. You had everything at your fingertips. You could listen to everything. But then you realize, all right, I like to grab these records. I want to grab this record. This is Bob Hansson, a great Scandinavian prog album from 1972. I want to have it, so I generally gone back to buying stuff. One of my major purchases right now, and one thing I love is the Mother's 1971 box set. It's just wonderful. Those 6 shows. So I'm very sort of a physical product guy, and I still want more of this. What I had to do now is get more shelving because, it's cluttering up. But I still love it. And when you showed that record, Todd, that just showed the beauty of looking at that and seeing a work of art. It's just fantastic. You don't get that with ones and zeros through a computer. You don't. And that's the difference. And that's why we collect. And now, nowadays you can collect because you want to. When you were back in the 80s and 90s, you collected because that was the way you got it, right? You started with one record, then you ended up with another one, and then you went on with it. And we probably the last generation to do that, but yeah, I love it.
Nice.
So,
yeah, that's really interesting too. Yeah, there's definitely a difference these days between owning something to be able to listen to it and owning it just for the love of it. Some cool points made there. Thanks, Pontus. Great to hear about your collection. Grant,
Yes.
you're up next, and we can see some of it behind you. So let's know about your record collection.
That's part of it. Well, ever since I heard the Beatles, like in 1975 when I was 10, I've been hooked. I bought my first Beatles album. I rode to Kmart in downtown Marion, Ohio, and the first record I bought were Beatles 62 to 66. And I've been hooked ever since. I've never stopped. There were periods in my collecting that I've purged because I would run out of money. So I would take things like downtown Columbus and trade them in and get money. But, you get to a certain age, you don't have to do that anymore. So I don't do that anymore. Now it's just constant consumption. And the only thing I want to say is I hope my wife does not see this video, for God's sakes. Because we don't talk about this kind of stuff. So let's just keep it between us.
I'm going to tag her on Facebook and post this.
You might. But the other thing, I remember 1985 going into Musicland, and I got my first CD player, a Sony D5, 1985, and going into Musicland in little old Marion, Ohio, and they had probably an area 6 foot by 4 feet of CDs. So all these were, just think about it, there was hardly anything, and this was all new and shiny, and I was totally into it because, think about it. No cracks, no pops, no nothing. And I was totally addicted to this whole CD thing. And I still am. I like records.
How much were they, Grant?
Oh, they were probably $23 a piece during that time. The first CD I bought was Duran Duran Rio. And it was the West German pressing, which that's all you could get. And I still have that. I think I got that. And then Hall & Oates Big Bam Boom, King Crimson Beat, and something else. But the only one I still have is Duran Duran Rio. But anyway, so I've been hooked since then. So all through the years, I had records when I was a kid and bought stuff, but once the CDs came out, I just totally switched to CDs. Now we hit the 90s. I'd been collecting, selling, collecting, all through that. When I was in college, you'd get to that period where you were able to buy stuff in college, but then you might need some money. So you'd have to purge some. We've all been there. So, but by the time when the 90s came, people were starting to trade in their records. Now I was thinking, well, shit, I can buy all these records like are now quote unquote $7 records, at least in Central Ohio, are dollar records then. I bought all this you see. You can't see the other side, but there's way more on the other side. Most of this stuff was just buying all this in the early 90s. Buy low. And so I mean, I was buying records like 10 years ago and stuff, but now all I do is buy CDs because they're practically giving CDs away. Always buy low, because the thing with the CD thing, it's going to come around. The market might be low now, but this new crop of kids are going to go, oh my God, this is even cooler than a record. It's all coming around, folks. You just hold on to your stuff. So I'm buying, God, I hope my wife doesn't see this. I buy a lot of CDs now. I mean, I have a whole closet full of them that I haven't spent a lot, but a lot of them are legacy CDs that I've had since the 80s and 90s. But all I'm doing is buying CDs. If the CD market went through the roof, you know records are going to go down, and then you buy records. Always buy low. You never buy records now. That you're wasting your money. And who cares? It's all about the mastering with this stuff. It doesn't matter if it's on vinyl or CD. If the mastering's good, it sounds good. This whole thing where people think that vinyl's superior and it's magical and mystical, it's all about the mastering, and it's all about your equipment. If your equipment sucks, it's going to sound like shit. If you've got decent equipment, it's going to sound good. The problem is these audiophiles, when you get, oh, now I'm going on a whole Steve Hoffman thing. But I mean, if you've got really nice equipment, like audiophile stuff, like $30,000 stereos, and you get some of these CDs that are mastered for modern day, you know, where you're supposed to play them in your car and they sound great. Well, on a real system, they're going to sound like shit. But the thing is, if you have a lot of these 80s CDs, before they were doing the mastering wars, before they were jacking everything up, all these 80 CDs were mastered flat. You can play these 80 CDs on really nice equipment and they sound really good. There are some that sound bad, some sound good. So anyway, the thing that I really collect, though, I'm not trying to toot my horn here. I mentioned this on Jamie's channel once. No one probably paid attention. But on Steve Hoffman forums back in 82, I started a thread called Ooh, the Colors German WEA discs. You can go look it up. It's under the long and winding threads on the Steve Hoffman site, talking 82. So me, Nash, Reed, all these guys. And I was
O2, you mean, right?
O2. Go
O2.
look it up. I don't know if you guys are Steve Hoffman guys.
Yeah, I check it out.
Okay. Well, you can go back and look. And I'm Vinyl Wreck on there, by the way. That's my handle. So I always was captivated by the original Warner Brothers CDs that were the Target pressings. So when I say Target, I'm talking this. The original Warner, Todd, bless your heart. And I started the thread. And in fact, I'm not trying to say anything, but I'm the one who started this bullshit. I'm the one that caused all these CDs to go high. And we started talking about it. And I termed the term Target CD. And you can ask any of these guys back then, they'll tell you. I'm the one that made the whole freaking market all jack up.
I paid $22 for this Lindsey Buckingham CD which would have cost $1. So thanks, Rand.
I know.
I mean, thanks. Thanks.
But there's a store in Columbus that sells Target CDs for $3. They just mix them in.
They don't know. That's because they don't.
Places
they're
don't
not
know.
on the Steve Hoffman site. Like here's Foreigner 4. Oh shit, I can't get it together. But I always thought that these were really the coolest things because like I said, the first one I ever bought was Beat, King Crimson Beat. And for some reason, we just started talking about these in 82 and it just totally blew up. And then all of a sudden, all these guys on the Steve Hoffman site, we started collecting them. You know, we're all talking about what we got when we go out into the wild and collect these things because no one wanted them. And then all of a sudden you go on eBay and you go on and the prices start going up. I mean, I had like Queen News of the World and the Game and the Greatest Hits were all Target CDs back when they were on Elektra. Those are some of the really ones that are really worth money. And like, if you can find any Target CDs that are made in USA, Neil Young, Harvest, they did a Columbia Record House of Doobie Brothers Greatest Hits, and it's a Target, and it's pressed in the US, which is weird because they only did Target CDs for like 3 years. So I'm still looking for these things because I did go through a time where I purged a lot of them because I thought, shit, what am I going to do with these classical CDs? I don't care about those. and they were like the Target design. But it was fun for a while. I mean, I still look for them all the time. So pretty much all I collect now are West German, made in Japan, anything like imported, any CDs that came out in like 84 and 85, the real early stuff. The market's not what it was. I mean, there was a time when these things were really, 10 years, 15 years ago, these things were just going ape shit, as far as collectability. I mean, there are still guys looking for them. I mean, every time I see one out in the wild that I don't have, I buy. I was at Half Price Books in Lewis Center here in Ohio, and I picked this up, Joni Mitchell. And I haven't seen this one for a long time. I used to have it years ago, but
Grant,
it's kind of a great what?
Don't they look more like a scope though that you would hit a target with? Shouldn't they
I don't know. I called them target CDs and it took off. I just can't believe that it took off. But
they're color coded by the label too.
Yes, they are.
Geffens are silver, Electras are red, Island are purplish pink.
Yep.
And they all got that design?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were only out for like, but different labels had different color schemes.
Mm-hmm.
But they're
all made in like 84, like 84.
84 and 85.
84 and 85, yeah.
What's that? George?
And they're supposed to sound better.
Well,
were these just American pressings or whether you're pressing?
Most of these were pressed in West Germany or in Japan.
Yeah, in the US they had a hard time getting enough. And so they weren't, it's kind of like how there's not enough record pressing plants now. There weren't enough CD pressing plants then. And so
most everything came out of West Germany at that point. In Japan, but nothing was here. I don't think we started pressing anything until 85, I think. And that was CBS. But a lot of those, when they started doing it, they were still imported from Japan. So it kind of, mixed and match at that point. But I love all those early CD stuff. And yes, some of them sound good because they're mastered. They're not tweaked. Like everything now is all tweaked. Most of these were just flat. They take the tapes, make a transfer, and they didn't tweak them. Like Fleetwood Mac Rumors. If you listen to the Target CD of Rumors, it's way different than what you think it sounds like now. It's very flat and lifeless. But for audiophiles, I mean, they want that because on their really nice systems, it sounds good.
The other side of that is back when they were making those CDs, sometimes they didn't have the best master tape because they were trying to make them fast because the demand was so high. So that's the downside of it is some of the early ones are made from third, fourth, fifth generation tapes.
Like the Led Zeppelin ones, the first batch of Led Zeppelin CDs, we got to move on. I'm going to shut up. The first batch of Led Zeppelin CDs, a lot of those came back from LP masters. But if you listen to them, they're very nice and warm and pleasant to listen to. They're not all jacked up or compressed. There's a lot of dynamic range still, and if you play them on a decent stereo, they sound good. So what if they're quiet? Turn up your volume control. But I'm deviating from the whole point. But what I'm trying to say,
that was cool.
I still collect the Target CDs and like early early Japanese, early West German ones. Records, until records come down again, I'm not going to buy any. It's all about spending the least amount of money possible. Cool.
All right.
But anyway, there you go. We could do a whole other program on that. Now that I've went into a tizzy.
No, that was interesting. I mean, we said we didn't want to define for you how you want to talk about it, and I think you brought some interesting points there. So in the interest of keeping things moving along, we're just going to throw it right over to Jamie. Jamie, we can also see some of your collection here. Why don't you tell us about it?
In 2016, I had like this many albums on vinyl, and I bought one new release at the time, October of 2016, a band called Chemists. I talked about them the last time I was on here. And that kind of restarted my love with vinyl. And I had maybe 30 back then, and now I have over 2,000. So I've been buying a lot. I always had a ton of CDs too. And like Grant says, I go to sales and they're like $4, and I come back with a box.
No brainer.
Yeah. So, but I wanted to talk about, I spend too much money on vinyl. I'll spend too much money on one piece of vinyl. And there's different reasons why these albums are valuable to me, valuable out on Discogs. And I wanted to go through them real quick. First of all, you have things that are just mega, mega rare. And this is the most I've ever spent on an album. And it's a 45 too. As some of you may know, I love Pat Benatar. And first of all, when I was a kid, I never thought I'd have these in my lifetime. I used to have dreams that I found these in stores, like between the ages of 12 and when did I buy this? 49. So here's her very first album in 1974 when she was with a band called Coxswain's Army. It's a live album. They only sold it at their gigs in Virginia. So it's not, you go on eBay, you'll pay $150 for it. It's not impossible to get. But this thing, the 45 she released around the same time, only 200 were made in Richmond, Virginia. Rumor is that she destroyed half of them. Of those 100, how many exist? I don't know, but I got one. If you go on Discogs, you'll see one is sold. This is it in the history of Discogs. I spent $275 on this thing, and it was worth it. I remember when it came, I was shaking. I was opening it, shaking. So yeah, you get the mega rare stuff like that. Then you get original pressings from like the 60s and 70s. And those are really cool. And here's your 6i.
Yeah.
Kind of Blue, original pressing. The Kinks, Arthur, and has the original Queen Victoria thing in the back. That's important to me when it's all complete. Gotta have that. And yeah, I have Atomic Rooster on CD, the box set, but I came across an original pressing, UK original pressing, without the guitar in the mix. You know what? I spent $55 on this. Well, he knocked off like $5. But here's the thing. If you find these out in the wild, they're going to be cheaper than Discogs, because the reason they're jacked up on Discogs is because you deliberately went online with that album in mind. You're ready to pay money for it. You typed it in, so you want it. There's the price. You're going to get it. If you walk into a store, it's an impulse buy. No one goes in there and goes, you got the debut Atomic Rooster? Because no, I've seen it once in my life in all my digging. So the price has to be down a little bit to get you to impulse buy it. So that's the good thing about finding these in the wild. Wow.
Discogs is still cheaper than eBay, though.
Oh, yes. Yeah, some guys jack up the prices there, but you'll find one or two guys being reasonable.
There are bargains to be had on eBay if you're very patient.
If you're patient, yeah. I'm not patient. No. Another reason albums become valuable to me, 90s pressings. You got Pearl Jam, No Code, and Danzig 3. It's very hard to come across 90s albums. And when you see them, they're pretty pricey. This one, No Code, 1996. I mean, how many vinyl pressings were being made in 1996? My wife bought this for me at a record store, Spoonful Records, for my birthday one year. This one, at Used Kids, they had it. It was 135 maybe, and I'm standing there, and a guy next to me says, if you don't buy it, dude, I am. Give it to me. I don't know if he was hired by the store to say that. Another thing people look for, the original metal albums, original pressings by metal albums, man. These are hard to find, and when you find them, they just keep going up. I looked at Discogs today, and this Dio Holy Diver, is going for like $80 now for like very
I bought that for $1.
Not that long ago, you could get it for like 25. All these are still going up. And speaking of, sometimes you buy these represses by like Rhino Records. Dio, see, I bought it again. It was on red vinyl, and Sabbath Bloody Sabbath on orange vinyl. I just bought this as an impulse. All of a sudden, these things like 5 years later are going for $100.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Now it's not the time to buy vinyl, kids. Let me
No,
just tell you.
don't be like me, kids. I am an
Don't
idiot.
live like Jamie. Live like
But
me.
then you get new releases. Okay. Now, this is the curse. We just did an episode, me and Rand did an episode on Pete's channel, Siege Tranquility, about the curse of the collector. All right.
Yeah.
It was just aired last Sunday. Now, a band I like Opeth, will release a new album, and then they have to have 36 different colors of the same damn album. And they're buying all 36. I assure you, I'm not that crazy. But when their last album came out, how do you say this thing? I always say it wrong. In Cata Venenum. Well, the album came out in Swedish and English. So I got the Swedish vinyl, and it's got the Swedish colors. Isn't that cool? And then the English version in glow in the dark vinyl. Gotta have that. But wait a minute. I'll just buy the CD too that has both of them. So now you're buying 3 copies of the same album at the same time. But in the glow in the dark one, those didn't even really go up in value. But sometimes you get a younger band like Green Lung, and all of a sudden hype goes around the album. And you bought like a 200 limited pressing of the gold. And then everyone kind of gets on board a little late, and then they want something like this. Yeah, I'm just talking about the collecting aspect. I mean, we always talk about the music. The music's great. I always said in the 90s, early 90s, when I was buying a lot of comic books, if they ever combine the ideology of comic books and music and put it together, I'm in trouble. And they did. And I'm in trouble. Then you get record store day stuff. So you go out, you stand in line for about 2 hours, sometimes in the cold, sometimes in the rain, waiting for the store to open at 8 o'clock. And then it's a mad rush to get in there, and it's elbows and assholes. A lot of the stuff they sell for that one day, and then it's out of print, is not worth very much money. And you don't know what's going to, well, there's buzz around certain things. Like this year, the Gold album or the Gold Experience by Prince, forget what it's called, the Gold Experience. There's a lot of buzz around that, and that's going to sell out fast. And probably the stores will open at 8. It'll be on eBay at 9 o'clock, going for triple the price that it was at the store. I guarantee it. And then the buzz will die down, and then like a year and a half later, it'll be half of what it was going for at 9 o'clock that day. So like Albert King, I bought this, Born Under a Bad Sign. I just bought it for the heck of it. It's going for like $100 still. And on record store day, I got this Alice Cooper. They were like in a little record store, and they reunited the band, and they did maybe like, I don't know, 11 songs. They recorded it, different colors. This green one, I just happened to get the one that's hardest to find, which is pretty cool. So then that becomes a little pricey. Then weird things happen. Weird things. If you don't know the story about this band, go and Google it. I'm not going to tell you the story. But the album and CD both got out of print, and it's never been reissued. And I found this on Marketplace on Facebook. Some dude was selling it for 50 cents, or was it $1? I think it was $1. He had took a picture of a bunch of albums and said $1 each. And it was like 45 minutes to an hour away. I texted him and said, dude, I'll be there in 45 minutes to an hour. And I got it for $1. And this is kind of hard to find now. On CD, too, it's a little pricey. But I have bought stuff, albums that I don't even like that much. Because Slippery When Wet, I came across this. Is this my favorite album? No. I like a couple of the hits, and that's about it. But look, it's got the OV slip, and it's got the original cover. That is just too cool. Had to have that. The 0 out of 10 album. I don't like this album either, Martin. But look, it's the original pressing. It's got the hype sticker. And, this is a long album, which means the grooves are very small. They repress it now. They put it on 2 albums. Back then, this and like Janet Jackson Rhythm Nation, if you can find those 2 albums and they don't skip after a few decades and these real small grooves, that's really cool. So I got it. Does it skip? I don't know. I never listened to the damn thing all the way through because I hate it. I should find out, though. Man, that would be work, though. I'll put it on the volume on low, and if I come back and it's stuck in one spot, I know it's skipping. Sometimes I buy the same album over and over.
Who doesn't?
I know. Pat Benatar, In the Heat of the Night. I bought it on cassette. I wore out the cassette. I bought another cassette. I'm talking in the 80s. Then I finally got it on CD. and then I bought it on vinyl, over the last few years. But then the original master recording came out. I mean, I came across that and had to buy it. Then this one from Argentina, where it's got all foreign language, I gotta have that. It's called The Curse. And cassettes, I spent $35 on this Bell Witch cassette because at the time, of course, I bought it because the vinyl was way too expensive. I couldn't even find a CD. I came across the cassette for $30 plus shipping. I said, give it to me. What happened 2 months later? Reissued on CD, $11.99 or whatever the hell they were selling it for. So that sometimes happens. And yes, CDs become valuable. The Jethro Tull box sets, they didn't make too many in the beginning. Now they're making a lot more when they come out. So 2 years later, you can still get it for face value. But Minstrel in the Gallery, I don't think they made too many because it's going for almost $300 now. And then you get lucky, like the Target CDs. Buy them for $3. There's another store here in Columbus, and they don't care what the CD is. They just throw it in the $3 bin. And I came across this Pearl Jam. It's called Checkpoint Charlie. I never seen it before. It's a live album, $3. I grabbed it, came home. It's like some holy grail for Pearl Jam fans. It sells for like $50 to $60.
Who had that?
I'll be damned. $3. Ching ching.
Who had that?
Spoonful.
I'll be damned.
Throw everything in that. Man, you go there and they got the deluxe, double, triple CD versions of albums. $3. Throw it in
I haven't been there lately. I'm gonna have to check it out.
Yeah, and again, Chemist came out last year. I bought the cassette, CD, and vinyl. It's a curse, man. I don't need all that. But so there
you're
go.
having fun.
Wow.
Yeah, and I don't sell stuff either. Once it's in the collection, it's in the collection, and it stays, man.
Nice.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Jamie. Appreciate it. That was definitely another cool take. We got two more collections to speak about here. Let's go to my fellow Nick Esquire here, and you can tell us about your collection.
Thanks, Nick. What I like about these types of shows and others I've seen on YouTube is that for me, it's more of an exercise in psychology and sociology and anthropology as it is just the collection itself. So you might get some psychology with mine. I come from a family of quasi-hoarders. That's with a D, hoarder. And so that sort of tells you a little bit about my collection. I mainly buy or accumulate and almost never sell. The times I have sold, I have regretted it. And I can even tell you one I've sold, and I don't know why I sold it to this day, but I sold a vinyl copy of Bowie's Pinups, which was stupid because it's now worth quite a bit of money, and it's actually a pretty good album, but my taste at the time, I wasn't really into it. But so I accumulate and rarely sell. I've got a collect, and I'm only going to talk about vinyl today, but I have a collection of records. I started to log things into Discogs. I've got a lot. I can't tell you how much I have. I've got 45s. I've got 78s. I've got different types of 78s. I've got cassettes, although I wouldn't buy those anymore. It's just what I accumulated as a kid. And of course, CDs. And I started logging in some CDs, but that's going to take a while. I collect like Grant. It's got to be cheap.
Yeah.
Cheap. And what's better than cheap is free. So that's sort of how my collection has meandered. And so it's a little bit like Martin's in that it might suck because I get things cheap or free. But that's sort of been sort of the fun of it all. The collection meanders this way and that way. I stumble on things, stumble on artists, stumble on whatever. And so it kind of goes in crazy different directions. And one thing of psychology, I'll do it right now, and if you've read Tim Derling's book on Spooled, and not to spoil the one chapter, but to talk about a little psychology, you might be able to see there's this corner thing right over here from floor to ceiling, all vinyl. I've never listened to it. My turntable's right over here, not plugged in. Well, do I buy vinyl? Sure. It's got to be cheap. I don't buy new vinyl. I've only bought maybe one thing on Record Store Day was something by Clutch, and I bought a Rory Gallagher album that I really wanted. But I don't buy new stuff. I would rather spend $50 on a $1, $2, or $3 piece of vinyl or CD than two $25 items. So again, I'm volume more than anything else. I started collecting in '78. First album was Kiss Love Gun, and I was off to the races. Accumulated a lot in college, cheap, graduate school, that sort of thing. I remember a record store in the Philadelphia area was getting rid of all of their vinyl, and they're getting rid of it for $0.25 a piece. It was insane. So I was just getting into CDs at the time in the early '90s, but I was picking things up. Matter of fact, I remember I got one thing out, but this album, Gangrene, funny stuff on here, you know, sort of a punky hardcore band, but for $0.25, look that up in Discogs. It's quite a bit of money. But so that's kind of my collection. I've gotten an accumulation of 78s. Todd showed the Columbia thing. There you go. But
Nice.
Got hundreds and hundreds of post-war 78s for free. It was a woman who was a DJ, and she had accumulated quite a bit of collection. And she passed away. Family's getting rid of it. And so my father just said, "Yeah, we'll take it." It's hundreds and hundreds of stuff. I don't have the time to go through it, but I can't bring myself to chuck it. I've called record stores; they don't want it.
Nope.
So I'm looking to actually. I'd rather give it away. I won't throw it away rather than sell. I've given a lot of things away, but rarely sold stuff. So I'm of the sort that I realize that space is limited. You acquire these things, you get them, you hang on to them, but I don't have enough hours in the day to kind of listen to it all. So I got to start thinking about getting rid of it. But a couple interesting things I get. I can learn to speak Italian by listening to this one. This is a larger 78 compared to the little guys. And what most people don't realize is these little 10-inchers are the ones that were made post World War II, and they're made to be played on electronic equipment. These bigger guys are the ones that are made to be played on the old wind-ups, you know, with the big horns or whatever. And I have these types of Victrolas and actually Edisons, a little different type of vinyl, but well, it's not even vinyl. But I remember once talking to a guy who sold 78s. I was telling him about how I was playing the 10-inch on my small tabletop Victrola, and he started screaming at me, letting me know that these are not designed to play with those big heavy needles that only are made to be playing these big piece 78. So I learned that. But one thing I got in that collection, you accumulate it. I've never been able to play it, but it's an oversized vinyl. This was put out by the United States Air Force Band. I have stuff from the Navy. They're not V-discs. If you ever heard the term V-disc, they were that was vinyl that was released from about 43 to 49. They started releasing this through the military when I think there was an artist or a strike or some sort of publishing strike, and the military struck a deal where they had all these famous people like Sinatra and the Glenn Miller Orchestra record specifically for the military, and they put them on these oversized discs, and they were sent all over the world. This is a little later. These are from the 50s, but V-discs are something that's kind of cool if you've ever seen them in the wild. You need a special player to play these, but it's kind of neat. I always often thought rather than throw it away, this would look good on a wall, framed,
You have a sleeve? Does that have a sleeve?
Yeah, it's just paper, almost like it's the consistency, Jamie, of almost like a garbage bag. That's all it is.
I have never seen one of those ever.
Never.
Yeah, so that's me. I collect this stuff. One thing I don't have that I would love to show you from this collection that I received, there's something called a Vogue picture disc. You might see them in a record store, but it was the first era of picture disc where it was on a 10-inch 78, and they would put some really beautiful artwork and sort of sandwich it in between the vinyl, whatever material it was. And so you have one side would be a gorgeous picture of like a bird flying or a girl walking down the street, and the other side would be something else. I have those in the Nick Esquire warehouse, as it were. I couldn't get to today, but
I have seen those.
they're gorgeous. But it's kind of like what you were saying, Grant. As commodities, 20 some years ago, they were very high in value, and I think they've actually come down again because no one collects 78s. No one listens to this stuff anymore. A lot of those Vogue Picture Discs are by artists that really have been lost to time. Although I do have one or two that there was songs on there sung by Milton Berle of all crazy people. So, but it's fun. I'll tell one quick story. Years ago, going on 20 years ago, I went to an estate sale or public sale or auction. A gentleman passed away, and he was a collector and salesperson of 45s and jukeboxes, and he serviced or sent out to people 45s. If you had a jukebox, he'd send it out with the slips, et cetera, et cetera. I got to the sale somewhat late for some reason, and I love public sales, auctions, that sort of thing, and the blood starts pumping, and I register and I get my card, and I just see all sorts of activity, and they're auctioning off boxes of 45s, and I'm fired up. And they're set, and I don't know anybody there, and there's a lot of people bidding, buying, and they're selling this stuff by a dollar value of per 45. And so you would hear like 20 cents, 21 cents, 22 cents, and they're selling like 24 cents sold. So you'd buy per record, and I saw the auction staff bring boxes over to the people that were successful. I got fired up, and as soon as I got there, I'm like, I'm getting some of this stuff. And I bid on a box of 60s, 70s pop and rock. I was the successful bidder, and I got it for probably what was the high price of the day, 27 cents. They brought over the box to me. It was like in a wine or booze box, if you know what I mean. I was thrilled. They sold some other stuff. They had jukeboxes out of my price range. I go to check out towards the end, and I'm holding the box with me, which had a number associated with it. And I came up and I go to pay, and I said, "Yeah, this is really cool. I'm getting this box of records." And the woman who was checking me out said, "Yeah, you bought a lot." I said, "Yeah, I guess there's a lot in here. It's kind of a lot." She goes, "Oh, no, you got a lot of records." I said, "What are you talking about? I know there's 45s in here. It's kind of a lot." She goes, "No, look over there. You bought like 6 or 7 more boxes." Oh, it's a lot.
A lot.
A lot of records. Oh, shit. So it's kind of like, how we have to whisper with Grant's wife listening in, but she rang me up, and even though it was 27 cents, this ended up costing me like over $250. And thankfully I brought in my SUV, loaded them in, and away we go. But I tried to, it's one of those things. Most of them are brand new, never been played. A lot of them have the slips in them. I just grabbed one just randomly, colored vinyl, Paul McCartney, Wings, with for jukebox. All I need is a jukebox now. That's what I have to work on.
Yeah, I know they did the Beatles thing where they did like all their 45s and all different colored vinyl. That's probably one of those.
You know what I have?
What were another couple of your highlights in there?
What's that?
What were another few of your highlights?
Oh, I got. You know what's in the one that you would like? A single. I heard he never had an album. It's a single from 1973 from Cozy Powell on Chrysalis. A lot of the 45s are brand new. You'll get like a double side, a lot of Zeppelin, Foghat. So I was happy with that. Vanilla Fudge, and then a lot of pop stuff. You got like Terry Jacks, Season of the Sun, to Stevie Wonder and the Jackson 5. It's perfect for a jukebox. Perfect. Over the years, yard sales, I'd sell a couple, but and I sold them real cheap. I gave them to charities, like churches that were having sales. Give them to them, rec centers, that sort of thing. So I've given hundreds away. I still have about 3 boxes left, so I'm ready but that's sort of like the psychology of it. I bought the lot of records, so it was a little bit more than I thought I'd pay for. Some other things, I always feel like I have to buy some things if I find them in good condition and release them and put them in my captivity. Not that they're worth anything, but if I ever see an E Pluribus Funk from Grand Funk, I have to buy it. So I have 3 or 4 of those. What else?
Well, if I see any of those in the wild, I'll send them to you.
I see them pretty often.
Yeah, but they're usually chewed up.
Yeah, they're usually beat up. And I'm like that with Kiss albums. I have like doubles and triples of most things. So if you see, my father was out there. I've got hundreds of just like stuff, Andre Kostelanetz and accumulation of easy listening from the 50s and 60s that he was getting at yard sales. And I'm flipping through there, and going through like dozens and dozens and dozens. All of a sudden I see like Heart, and flip again. And then hundreds later, I found Pat Benatar, Jamie, and then I'm flipping through, and all of a sudden an original Creatures of the Night pressing. So it made it worthwhile amongst all the other stuff. But a couple autograph things. I met him after a show in an alleyway. Robin Trower. That's one of my favorite autograph pieces. Of course, I know Martin has this one, but The Boys and Stars. And then, of course, it helped that my friend was playing drums with them at the time, but one of the versions of the Bullet Boys. So you do have Mark on there with some of the guys that were in there at the time. But that was fun. That was a good memory because I got to hang out backstage and hang out on their bus and that kind of stuff. So
Martin, you might like that one. Billy Gibbons.
Oh yeah, I was playing that today. Love that album.
Yeah, he was selling it for like an extra $25 an album with his signature. I'm like, Sure, why not?
That's great.
I got 4 out of 5 UFO guys in this framed copy, and I've got no doubt it's them. I didn't come with any certificate of authenticity. I bought this in a record store in Florida while on vacation to go to a wedding, and I know that's their signatures because a few years later I bought a CD at a local record store, and lo and behold, in there more UFO autograph signatures, and it's in a Sharpie. So I know when Marco posted this, he wanted us to talk about maybe a couple other rarities in the collection. I'll go through quick, or what we feel might be the most valuable, and that, of course, that can change over time. But I think my Kiss collection may have it, and I do have this one, which is kind of cool. So that was only released to like record store, radio stations, and let's just put it this way: you have to be in the right place at the right time to get something for free, and that's how I acquired it. And this one's kind of cool too. It still has the inner sleeve stuff. Remember Mark St. John with White Tiger. And now this stuff, you can get this a couple of years ago for $4. You can't touch it now. So the one thing that's weird on here, I was just looking at it today, engineered by Lester Claypool. Could that be Les Claypool?
Probably.
Probably is.
I thought that was odd. Another radio station deal. If you're in college radio, sometimes you get these kind of things. This is Louder Than Live, which was a...
I have the VHS copy of that video of the show.
This is the thing I always liked about it, though, the colored vinyl. I get kind of weird with the colored stuff, so the colored vinyl. Even with some of these 45s I picked up, this was not in that lot that I bought, but this kind of weird stuff that I get over there is you can't really see in this light. It's green. It is Gene Autry, but and this is yellow, but that's kind of neat.
Yeah.
So Nick, all those 45s that you got that were jukebox 45s. So were they were never used, right? They were just like.
Well, that's a good question. Many of them were never used. Many of them were new, but some were, you can tell. So it was a combination. It's about 2/3 brand new, and about a third may have been played once or twice, but they're all in really good shape.
Yeah.
And many of them were marked for sale, so you had a price tag on them. Many of them were sort of like logged in with some sort of bait stamp on it, with some sort of categorizing. I even tried to sell it to a local record store guy, but he was actually there and bought a lot himself, so he wasn't interested at the time. I was telling Marco about this a couple months ago. I was cleaning out a garage, finding all sorts of interesting things. I found this, which I believe is probably from the late 50s, early 60s. This is an old school record cleaning cloth. I didn't even know they made them, but it's probably circa late 50s, early 60s, still in the pouch. So probably belonged to my aunt. I had some family members who worked at Specialty Records, the pressing plant in Scranton in the 50s and early 60s. And a lot of stuff flowed from there, and it was one of their main pressing plants. Matter of fact, might have even been through the early 70s, because I think if you look at some old Grand Funk, they still have the Scranton pressing plant on it. But a lot of stuff flowed through there, so probably came from that place. But I can talk all day. I'll give it up to Rand. If we have more time, I can show you more weird stuff. But
well, thanks, Nick.
May I just ask? What speed is that oversized album?
This oversized is 33 1/3. The original V discs from 43 to 49 were 78 speed. but these are 33 and a third. I've seen an oversized player once at a flea market auction type place. I don't know if it worked or not, and I haven't seen one since. It looked like something that would be produced through the military, just like a weird looking, just sort of a prehistoric looking thing. And I've only seen it once. I've never really looked online, but only once.
They have a player on display at the Country Music Hall of Fame in Nashville for those.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool.
You could take it down there and see if you can play it.
Well, the thing is with these, it's some of the Air Force One. It looks like it's a show, so it's kind of like playing like Metal Shop or something from back in the day. So it looks like it's some program show. And matter of fact, it even lists the week you're supposed to play it, like March 24th, 1957.
Oh.
So it's kind of neat. But it's like other than marching band stuff, I don't know what else is on there. So, but it would be worth a listen.
Well, awesome. A lot of cool stuff in there. Thanks for sharing, Nick. All right. Last but not least, Rand, you've been waiting very patiently. Let's hear about your collection.
First of all, guys, I want to apologize for the feedback. I was switching from my phone to the laptop, and I forgot that. I couldn't get to the mute switch in time, so I apologize for that. Okay, here's my latest acquisition, and maybe Nick might dig this.
Oh, there's the Hofner.
That's my baby. I love it. The Cavern.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's done. So I guess I'm just going to go like real quick because I don't know how much time you guys got or whatever I got. But one of the latest acquisitions I got was this, because I'm such a Yes fan. And this has the glow-in-the-dark vinyl, which I can't make glow-in-the-dark. And it's also got 5.1 CDs and posters and a booklet. I'm not going to go into all that.
You got to hold that vinyl up to the light for a long time to get them to glow in the dark.
Is that it?
Yeah.
I thought I got screwed. I thought it was glow-in-the-dark cover. I was trying to get that thing to light up, and it wouldn't work. I was like, what's going on here? Okay, so anyway, moving right along. Anybody know what that is? Osric Tentacles Vitamin Enhanced box set. I traded in the CDs that were in there. Oh, this is an awesome band. If you like Gong, you'll love these guys. They're just so good. It's like Gong without vocals.
That was the first albums, right?
Yeah, the very first albums, and they sounded terrible, but they remastered them on Snapper recently in twofers. So I ended up with 3 cases instead of 6. So that's why it's empty, because I've got the other ones in my rack. And okay, moving right along. I think these are kind of rare. Circus, moving on. A Swiss prog band with no keyboard player. This is supposed to be really hard to get. This is the original what's it called? Decoder Records. Very, very rare on Discogs. And this band called Maelstrom, kind of like an American Genesis that nobody hardly knows about. I bought it from Ken Golden at Laser's Edge when I could, and it's not available anymore. This is pretty valuable. DVD, Kenso Live in USA, Nearfest 2005. I paid $75 for this in 2005. Try to imagine what it's worth now. All right, let's see here. I got the Tubes Live at the Greek on VHS. And apparently it's never been put to DVD. Why, I don't know. This is a great concert. Got to meet the Tubes in Stockton, California, and visited with them before their show. And then this is kind of rare too. The Union Live Deluxe. It kind of folds out like, it's really hard to get this, by the way, but it folds out into sort of a magnificent 4-disc thing. And it's the Union Tour. Where it also has the Pensacola show from Florida, which is
How's the sound of that?
Incredible. Very good. It's done by Gonzo or Voice Print. Gonzo Multimedia. John Kirkman kind of thing. And let's see, moving right along here. I've got, Martin might dig this. I've got Record Store Day, King's X Manic Moonlight, and it's got colored vinyl.
They release something almost every record store day.
This is my first purchase. I never even knew anything about it until I found this stuff. Put that down there. And I got your favorite, Martin, Chase Head.
Oh yeah, cool.
And it's a different color.
Yeah.
That record store day.
Yeah, I have a
It
copy.
was last year or halfway through the year or something.
Yeah.
Look at this.
Yeah.
It's like it looks like the same color on the, but it's actually the other one's more orangish. This is pink, but it looks the same on the video. I mean, on the phone. I don't know why. I mean,
Is there a good, reliable source to look up how many copies are made of these various things?
Yeah, right here. Right here. It says it right here.
Yeah, but if you go on the record, if you go on the record store day
1500
site,
top.
you can look them up.
Yeah, I got 751 of 1500 on this one, and the other one I didn't look, but they're both different, of course. But these are gatefold, and they're really nice. They got all the lyrics and everything in there. Haven't even played them really. I already have the CDs, so I don't really need to play them. But let's see, moving right along here. I'm saving my personal stuff where I have a little story that goes with them for last. This is Egg's first album on Durham Records. This is a $100 record right now. Hard to get.
It's a great album.
Oh yeah, the first one is just incredible. Okay, here, Todd. I'm glad you said IQ was your favorite band. Here's Tales from the
Oh, very
West
nice.
on the very first color that it was, and it was numbered, and it says right on the back. I used to know this. It says wait a minute, if I can do this right. Your copy is 733. Can you see that? I don't know. I can't tell where it's. I can't tell where it's located because I can't see it.
Yeah, it's a little bit lower than that.
Oh, lower like that?
I think. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so.
I don't see it.
Oh,
I'll take your word for it.
okay. How about that?
Not quite yet.
Oh man, I don't know where it is.
Rand,
Anyway,
we're gonna have to trust you on that one.
you'll have to take my word for it. It's 733.
Send us a picture of it. Send us a picture.
733 out of I don't know how many copies, but they changed the color of that album. It turned to purple later on for some reason. Here's a really rare band out of I don't know where they're from. It's called Ixed Adux or Addicts or Ixed Adu or something. Brainstorm. This was marketed to me at the Works in Eureka, where Mike Patton used to work, and I knew him pretty well when I was in the store. But it was labeled for fans of King Crimson and Frank Zappa. Kicks ass. Really good stuff. I never seen that anywhere. I don't know where that album exists now. Very rare. And I got we're getting down to it. I've got the Tangerine Dream in the beginning box set, which is 6 LPs, I think. One Electronic Meditation Alpha Centauri Z, which is a 2-disc. Etim and Green Desert, which hadn't been released before, so that was a real treat. That was pretty cool. And then going along with that, I have the Tangerine Dream program from 1977, that concert that I saw in Berkeley, California.
Wow.
Yeah, 77. I don't remember the actual. It's amazing that I can keep this stuff in good shape. Anyways, pretty nice. And now here comes the personal stuff. Well, first of all, I'll show this. Three Friends, Gentle Giant fans. Any of you?
Oh,
Yeah.
This is live at Cruise to the Edge. This is freaking awesome. Shoreham by Sea, it says. It's so good. It came out in they did the concert April 16th, 2009, and you can't even buy this. This was a gift. Like you were saying, Nick, free. And moving right along. Oh, here's another IQ, Todd.
Very nice.
Because you can't probably see it because the ink has kind of faded, but all the members of the band signed it all the way around. Like you can just sort of see the.
Yeah, I just realized my dark matter that's signed by them was on the wall. But
Nice. We saw them in San Jose. A band called Enchant opened for them, and
seen them a couple times.
During Enchant's set, we got invited to come out into the lobby and talk to IQ. So we really missed Enchant, but I thought it was worth it because hanging out with IQ was pretty fun. Anyways, now this is personal here, kinda. I got the Captain Beyond CD made in Japan, 1990. I went to see Iron Butterfly in San Ramon, California in 1994, and Lee Dorman was playing bass, and he's the bass player on here. So we had a meet and greet after the show, and I said, "Hey, Lee, I got something you can sign." He goes, "What?" And I pulled this out, and he goes, "I didn't even know that was out." He says, "I don't even have a copy of that." Here it is 4 years later. He had no idea. So I got him to sign it. Lee Dorman, bass player of Iron Butterfly. Pretty cool.
There's the original old school.
Yeah, I got me one of those too. You can still buy those. They're not that expensive, but they're probably clamored. Anyway, this
$30,
huh?
35 bucks maybe you can find them.
This is my next to the last item because I have one more that I was going to forget to show. Camel Rajaz, and this means something to me because it was another free gift from Camel, and the reason it was free is because my friend and their friend, my best friend, Bill Hughes, had died of cancer a year before this came out, and I told them about it because I said, "You'll never see him again, he's gone," and they said, "This one's for Bill," and then it says, "Rand, best wishes, Andee Latimer." So that's kind of sentimental to me. And then, this one thing, I don't know if this is worth showing, but I've got Beatles coasters that are made out of glass, which don't look like anything the Beatles ever put out. It's weird, how they did it. Well, the Help kind of looks like it, but I keep them covered because I don't want them to break. So that's Help. And here's A Hard Day's Night. See what I mean? It doesn't look anything like what we know. Oh, this one came uncovered. This is Sgt. Pepper's, but it looks like Yellow Submarine. I just don't want to drop it. It's very rare. I've never used these. I keep them in a box.
Looks more like posters.
I know. It's absolute.
They look like the movie posters for the
it's absolute glass, and we break really easy. And then Abbey Road, I just don't know what they were thinking with this, but it's like silhouette Beatles.
Yeah, I've never seen those.
I have a mirror of the wall too that I wanted at Carnival in Philadelphia, but it's too hard to get to right now, so I couldn't show it. That's a really weird looking thing. Gerald Scarf art all over it. Just imagine all the figures from the album and the movie or whatever on a mirror, and it looks like the wall behind it, and everything is red. All the people are red. And then the last item is my pride and joy, my Yes flight case of the Union Tour 30th anniversary. And this thing goes for $400. I paid a lot of money for this, but it's got it's kind of good stuff in it. I think it's 30 discs or something, but you get all kinds of like tour memorabilia and posters and all kinds of things like that. This is going to be a real collector's item, I have a feeling. But anyways, and just for fun, I'll show you this. I wasn't going to show you, but I'm going to show you anyway. My mother, I inherited this from my mother, Spike Jones. But the funny thing about it is the records inside aren't these. 78's a guy named Bill Carpel, You Love Me. Oh no, Bill Farrell. Sorry, My Heart Cries for You and You Love Me on MGM Records, '78. Never heard of the guy. I don't know what happened to the Spike Jones records. I don't know how. My mom wasn't very good at holding on to the right record, I don't think. And this is on Vocalion '78. I've never heard of the label ever. Dick Jurgens and his orchestra, If I Knew Then, and Lilacs in the Rain.
I think I have that.
Really?
Vocalion is
I'm sure Nick does have those.
Vocalion actually is the record label where you would find Robert Johnson. And so whenever I'd see Vocalion, my eyes would like pop out of my head. But then you would get Dick Jurgens and his orchestra. That's the problem. So Vocalion.
That's amazing.
When you see Vocalion, your eyes should widen. But it's, depending on where you live, I don't think I'm going to see any in my neck of the woods.
Nobody's going to be looking for a Dick Jurgens record anytime soon, huh?
He's going for a resurgence now.
Anyway, that's all I got today. That's why I kept leaving the video, because I was gathering.
Well, thanks for sharing, Rand. That's awesome.
Welcome.
We appreciate it, and we appreciate everyone's stories. So I know we went kind of long today, but I thought it was appropriate because record collecting kind of has to do with how the Contrarians got started. Because when Marco reached out to Martin, regarding that Mystique EP, so that's kind of a special topic here. So I want to say thank you to everyone here, and we will get everyone to get their last word in. So let's go sort of reverse order of what we did, if I can remember it properly. Rand, why don't you tell everyone your final words? Give everyone, anyone you want to shout out, including yourself.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that was just fun, and I'm glad I did it. Just as far as a shout out goes, I do. I've been doing a Genesis series with Ryan Gavalier, one of the Contrarians, and now we've got Grant Arthur and Todd Evans with us, and that's a lot of fun. And we just did Seconds Out, and then there were 3, and that reminds me, I could show you that real quick. I still have the end. No, that's not it. Hang on, I'll do it. I got it. I still got the end. Then there were 3 programs from 1978 when I saw them on my 3rd concert. Now it's hard to open because it's folded. It's not like a book. You have to unfold it like a map, and I ripped it 3 times trying to look at it, so I got to be real careful with it. Also, I have my own channel, Rand Kelly, and I just put it on Facebook too as a group. It's called Saucer Rock. And we're discussing, Ryan and I are discussing bands between 1970 and 1979, basically, or 1980, that did a lot of songs about flying saucers and extraterrestrial craft and spaceships of all kinds, probably inspired by Star Trek and Star Wars or whatever. But we're having a ball doing that. We've done 3 episodes already, so if you want to check it out, they're all sitting there on Facebook under Saucer Rock.
Cool.
And I do my own music on my channel, and I just play a crap load of synthesizers. I've got 7 synthesizers and 5 amps, so I hook 5 at once and get them going and stuff. I wrote 5 songs today in an hour, and recorded them and put them on YouTube already.
Wow.
Check them out.
That's awesome, man.
It's the kind of music where you can't play it again because you don't know what you did. It's all keyboards. I can also play guitar and bass, but lately I've just been getting into the synthesizers, and
cool.
That's all I can think of.
Well, thanks, Rand. We appreciate having you here, and that sounds awesome. Everyone should check out what Rand's got going on.
I do
there.
need subscribers. I'd like to get up to 1,000, and I'm stuck at 594.
Well, let's help them get out there, everyone. Nick, why don't you give the people your final message for today's panel?
Final message, yeah, nothing to plug, but with record collecting and even CDs years ago, I stopped with want lists and because it caused anxiety. And I sort of approach collecting almost like a Zen-like. Whatever I see that I like and it's cheap, I get without having any sort of agenda. I stopped ordering online. I used to do that a bit. Auctions through eBay and a thing, and it's fun. And like, went to the public sale and bought $300 some worth of 45s accidentally. But I enjoy it more now when I don't have an agenda. I don't have a list. If there's something that comes out, I just order it through my local independent record store. That's how I do it. So if it's something I'm really hot for, then he gets it for me. So I don't have any sort of agenda. And that's what, for me, it's low stress, low anxiety, see what happens, see what I get, blah, blah, blah. You asked at the top of the show, and I forgot one regret. It's not a specific artist at all, but back when you can get hard rock and metal albums for $1 and $2 and $3, I used to pass those up. And, I have it on cassette or whatever. I'm going to go for something else. And now, you can't touch those things. And Jamie, I know you showed that Badlands album once before, and I do have it, and I picked it up for free, and I was gonna grab it, and I can't find it. So I started hyperventilating before we started. So I got to find that damn thing. I know it's around here somewhere, but you had told me about that value, and I'm like, oh my God, I have it. It's just, it's somewhere in the archives.
Yeah.
This was fun. Thank you.
Oh, thanks for being here, Nick. We appreciate it. All right, Jamie, your final message for all the folks at home.
I just happen to have a Facebook page that's all about this kind of crap. It's called Let's Get Physical. It has nothing to do with Olivia Newton-John. It has to do with physical media, vinyl, CDs, VHS, Blu-rays, comic books, novels, whatever it is that you can hold in your hand that's media of some sort. That's what we talk about. We take pictures of our crap, we share the pictures of our crap, and people talk crap about the crap. And that's about it. And it's a ball. We have fun. So let's get physical on Facebook. Come on over and have fun with us.
All right. Thanks. Thanks for being here, Jamie. We always appreciate it. Check out Let's Get Physical. Let's go to Grant for his final message for the folks at home.
My final message. Well, my couple of things. First of all, I've learned that a lot of sick people are on this channel right now. A lot of people need counseling. Nick, you need to see somebody.
The curse is real.
But I love you, Nick. I love what you're saying. I totally get what you're doing. So I must be just as sick as you. Anyway, now I have something to plug finally. Since everyone else has a damn channel, and when we always go around the horn, I never have anything to plug. So I started my channel. Who needs another channel? Nobody. But what the hell? So I started Grant's Rock Warehouse. And I've got 4 shows already planned in the books. The next one we're going to do is Todd Evans and I are going to do a Matthew Sweet ranking and discussion. We're going to do the albums first, and then we're going to do like our top favorite Matthew Sweet songs. Todd and I love Matthew Sweet, and Matthew needs more love.
Are you going to include the Thorns?
No, this is just Matthew
good question.
Sweet.
Okay.
And not Matthew Sweet and Susanna Hoffs. We're not doing that. Or anything before when he was down in Athens, Georgia. We're not, we're not doing any of that stuff. Just Matthew Sweet solo. And then we're doing a Rush instrumental track ranking discussion here towards the end of the month. And then there's more stuff. But I'm on Ryan's channel a lot, and then Rock Daydream Nation, Peter Kerr's channel. We've seen Rand and I, we're kind of busy. And that's about it.
I'm retired, so I got nothing but time.
Well, thanks for being here, Grant. We always appreciate it. And Grant's Rock Warehouse.
It is.
Yeah.
And house is Haus. No umlaut.
Like Bauhaus.
All right. Good clarification. Now everyone at home knows. So go check it out.
Yeah, I've got 27 subscribers. I'm trying to get to 28. So
28's out there watching right now.
Someone could help.
I'll be 28. I'll be 28.
And I'm complaining about 594. I'm sorry.
I am pretty excited. I had 75 views though for my first one.
Cool.
Hey, you start somewhere. You just keep going, and
I'm not looking to like change the world. I just want to get together, and all my channel is going to be is just panel discussions. You're not going to see me sit on there and list my favorite Beach Boys albums. I'm not going to do that. No one wants to hear me spout off about anything. I love a group discussion,
Wow.
and that's all it's going to be. So.
Awesome. Well, let's all you contrarians out there, let's go out and help Grant and Rand's
Please
channels
get me. Let's do 30. Can we get to 30?
I need to join yours.
Awesome. Well, Pontus, it's your time for the final message for the folks at home there.
First of all, I'd like to say to Rand that I watched the Collector Show with Pete, and you have one of my holy grails, and that is the Gentle Giant box set.
Oh.
And
Yeah,
I saw
Unburied
that.
treasure. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that, and I actually exclaimed to the screen. I said, "You lucky bastard!" And my fiance, who are you swearing at? And congratulations! I truly would love to find one of those. But
They're out there. They're out there. Like we saw on Discogs. I mean, Amazon's got one brand new for $1,600.
Oh, yeah. Yet another kidney gone, right?
Sell a car.
Yeah. What I want to say, and join your local dealer. If you have a record store, if you want to collect stuff, if you want to appreciate the stores that are out there, because we need them if we want a physical thing. I think that is a great statement.
Yeah, there's 4 in my town.
Yeah, support your local dealer.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing to plug more than that. Thanks for being here.
Hey, thanks for being here, Pontus. We appreciate it, and it's a very nice message to use your time to support local dealers. Todd, we'll give it to you. You have the spotlight, sir.
Okay. Very quickly, I just wanted to say that I'm appearing on an upcoming episode of Rush Fans, which I'm really excited about. I love that channel, and we're going to be talking about the song After Image from Grace Under Pressure, and that was a great experience. And I wanted to say really quick that I forgot to show this. It's one of my favorite things. It's Fish and Tony Banks, and Tony Banks is wearing a Marillion shirt, and Fish is wearing a Genesis shirt, and I love this 12-inch. So
I have that.
I forgot to show it. It's not rare or anything, but it's fun.
It's cool. Shortcut to somewhere.
That's it. Thanks.
Oh, that's all right. Awesome.
That's all I got.
Well, thanks for being here, Todd. All right. Before I hand it over to Martin for the very final words, I just want to say thank you to all of you for watching. Thanks to everyone who is here. It's once again, it's been great learning from everyone and seeing all these cool collections. There is, again, Patreon if you want to join these conversations. There is, of course, liking and subscribing. And there is a, what is it called? TeePublic, I think, if you want to rock some Contrarians merch and look cool like Jamie down there in the blue one. So without further thanks and ado and all that stuff, we're going to hand it over to Martin, the man, the myth, legend. We get the very last words of the night.
Yeah, so I guess I've got my audio podcast, History in 5 Songs with Martin Popoff. The new one just went up, is about, is there a new wave of British heavy metal sound? The last one was bands with angry fans. And I've got martinpopoff.com for the books. The Dio is selling well. I've got slightly less than half of those left, and that's been out for 2 weeks. So that's Dream Evil, Dio in the 80s. I'll have Yes 2 visual biography, 82 to 2022 in about a month. I ran out of the UFO and the Priest, but I'm getting more of those in about 8 days. So martinpopoff.com for that stuff.
I'll be getting that. Yes, Martin.
Thanks.
Awesome. All right. Well, that's it, everyone. Thanks so much for watching. And thanks again to everyone being here. Apologies that I let this one run so long, but I think we had a lot of fun tonight.
A lot of sickness.
All right.
A lot of sickness.
Yes,
all right,
indeed.
everyone.
Well, thanks very much. Talk to you later.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye.